All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Davidson County Sheriff Daron Hall with us. We have some people that joined us later in the show, and I just think it's very important to recover a little bit of what we talked about earlier on the imposter. We know some of the details that have been made public, who made his way into, allegedly, the jail, and he's charged now stealing keys. And as it stands now, you were saying that there's only certain things you can talk about. He has a court hearing next week. Where do we stand on this case, and how big do you think this could be?
Yeah, so there is a criminal case pending. It's sometime next week. He was arrested on that particular night with burglary tools, which was a charge, attempted burglary, and tampering with evidence. And so those charges obviously were lodged against him. He bonded out. He has a court date on those. But as is sometimes the case in these types of situations, I mean, there's much more to what's going on, and don't want to get into all the details. I will just tell you, and I have been a part of this the whole time as far as monitoring it and watching what's going on. It is an extremely significant event. The motives, in my mind, can't be questioned because this is complicated work. And I believe it was, and will prove out to be, the most significant security breach in the history of our city. And when it's all said and done, I hope and believe that the credit will go to some people who are on their toes at the right time. And I hope and believe that no one's going to be hurt as a result of that.
Had they not caught this, this could still be going on right now. Do you even dare think about that?
Well, had it not happened, had we not discovered it, we would have inmates in a building that was not secure, first of all. We know that, and the inmates that would be in there would be, as I mentioned earlier, the most significant people in our town that are under arrest or charged. So had we moved the people back into a building that wasn't secure, then all things are options, whether it's escape or major harm to our staff, major harm to our city.
So, and again, you say this is going to get much bigger, and there'll be a time when you can talk in more detail, but what everyone wonders, and he hasn't said, he's out on bond, what was the motive on all of this? I mean, ultimately, you just have to go to one thing only, that it would be escape.
Yeah. There's just no doubt what the intent is, and the magnitude of that intent is shocking.
And you know him personally from having met with him prior. Are you still stunned that he would be involved in something like this?
Yeah, I've been here 30+ years. I had some conversation with people in my office lately, and we've been through a lot of things. You mentioned Perry March earlier. I mean, gosh, we were directly in the middle of that mess of him visiting with his dad in jail and taping. I mean, we've been through a lot of different things and bizarre behavior and unusual events. But in my book, this will be the biggest once over.
And do you believe, we know for certain, based on the video and the fact that he was arrested, he was in the building twice. Do you believe there were more times than that in December?
Oh yeah, we know that.
You know what? That he had been in the building more times than just those two?
Yes.
And what about this accomplice?
Yeah, don't know a whole lot about him other than they look in concert on several things, and we need some help. They are covering their face with this dust mask, like they were using that. Other construction folks weren't using that as much anymore, so it's a little bit of a sign. So it covers up the face in the pictures that we're able to show, but not sure how involved, but we know that the main player is Mr. Friedman.
Do you think he could face more charges? Because he's out on a lower bond right now based on what he was initially charged from. But you're talking to me as you've learned more about this case just since the days you did original interviews. You've learned more, right? And so do you think he could be charged with more crimes?
Yes, absolutely.
And when the story finally does come out, and I know there's details you can't completely talk about, when everything is known, what impact will that have, not just maybe on law enforcement or incarceration and jails here, but nationwide? Is this something that people will take note of?
Yeah, you know, Nick, there's a lot of interesting things to think about. Keep in mind, this is a construction site. The security of a construction site is typically worrying about stealing valuables and so forth. And I think construction companies do a pretty good job of that. They obviously have ways to do that. When you're talking about infiltrating a building for purposes that are sinister, you know, and you're not stealing, if you will, items at value, then you think about where you're headed. Then one of these days you may need a full security operation that is what I call security from our world, from the beginning of a project. I've never heard of anything like this. I mean, I've been around this all my life, and I'll tell you, there's jokes around the country and around the place where we say this here too, that construction workers typically are pretty lazy at the end, and they'll leave an old screwdriver laying around or a piece of metal that should. And the point is, we do sweeps of buildings before we open them because they don't think that could be used as a weapon like we know it could be. So a sweep of a building, because the construction wasn't aware, is a very common conversation to make sure that things aren't left, you know, ajar that should be fixed and so forth. But we're not talking about that at all. We're not talking about accidental. We're not talking about the motives, the intent are clear to me, and eventually the community of Nashville is going to know that, and what it's costing.
Yeah, talk about the cost. These keys were significant keys, right? They're not just, you know, like to the laboratory or something. I mean, right. These were significant keys.
Right. You in our line of work, the keys to the sheriff's office, the jail system, would be the equivalent of the bank losing the money. I mean, you know,
and these two specific ones that went missing initially were important keys.
They're significant keys. There are other things that go on in our world about knowing which keys do what. I would just say, I mean, you got hundreds and hundreds of locks. Every cell door has a lock, so you have to replace every cell lock. You have to replace every lock that's exterior locks.
Because these were master keys.
Well, there are various levels of keys, and
but you have to replace them all,
right,
because of these two. So how much does it cost the taxpayer, you think? And is it done yet?
It'll be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars when it's over, minimum.
And it's not done yet. And you're not moving a single. Has this slowed the movement of inmates? It's put it on a back burner to everything?
Yes.
How much of a delay? When do you think the inmates will move?
Yeah, we don't know that. We have a lot going on in investigating. I met with the leadership of the facility myself, and I committed to them that we would never move in an inmate until they're comfortable. That's who deserves to be comfortable. That's who's invested in the building. They've been over there helping us get ready. And I went and met with the mayor's office. I've met with other folks and said, look, you know, given where we are, until everything is secure, we're not moving the people. And so there's a lot of effort going to get that redone or up to par, and also we're still reviewing. There's hundreds of hours of videos to review. There's plenty more work to get to the bottom of this, and but I suspect, you know, I think we will get to a point in opening the building over the next several weeks. It could be a couple of months, who knows. But we will get the building open once we're comfortable that it's secure.
I'm just curious, as you've done your research on this, have you ever heard of something like this happen at construction of other sites anywhere around the country?
Never. Never.
Never anything like this?
Never. No.
It is that unusual?
It is more than that.
I'll be paying close attention to that. Listen, I'm sorry you have to deal with it.
If I find out you're behind it, you're in big trouble. This sounds like you. I mean, some of these
this sounds like something I might pull. No, I'd walk in with no mask and dare you. No, look, he's arrested me before. I've been there. You Google me and it comes up still. Thanks, Carla.
That's what you get for running your mouth so much. So
yeah, that's what it is. Sheriff, thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure having you on, and we'll see you again in another month or so. You going to watch the Super Bowl?
I'm football depressed.
I know. The Titans. Wouldn't it have been great? They came this close to me. And I know you're a big Titans fan.
Yeah, and I'm a football fan, but I'm just football depressed.
I am too.
It's hard to get there.
It's gone on the back burner for me, and you know, with the death of Kobe Bryant and that horrible, tragic thing, that almost has put a pall on it for me just leading up. It's hard for me to get, because it really, when I saw that, it broke my heart.
I'm with you. The whole week's been, you know, sad and bad, but I've had trouble watching any football highlight or anything before the Kobe Bryant thing, because I just, you know, you feel like you're, but I think, you know, it should be a great Super Bowl. I mean, I think it'd be fun to watch for those who are not depressed.
I'll check it out. Sheriff, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you again in a month. Take a break. Programming note right after this. Stay with us.